So I know that a lot of people that play games like Cyberpunk, definitely if you came from The Witcher, you're some of y'all are single player gamers. Like you don't even play online games. I remember this when this was announced. CD because a lot of CD Projekt Red supporters, fans, hyper fans, let's call them that. They have this idea where CD Projekt Red, well, certainly they can't say that anymore. But at some point before, let me close my door real quick. I'm in the middle of a segment and I got dogs barking. Hold on. All right, sorry about that. Anyway, like I was saying, they like to think that CD Projekt Red was different from the other games, like other developers. And really, like what I talked about was that the fact that they're not different. Okay, maybe do some things different. But when we talk about like the nickel and diming microtransactions, the only thing that they really had benefit from, definitely if you just know them by The Witcher, was making that style game. That style game has no reason to really have microtransactions in them. So when they talked about, oh, we leave the greed to the other companies, blah, 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 that has nothing to do with anything. That's just all garbage. Because then, they announced this year, I think it's actually a year before, but they had to double down on it. Cyberpunk Online, when that game comes out, it's going to have microtransactions. Now, I'm not mad at that. It is what it is. But it's going to have microtransactions, and take that in whatever way that you may. But what that does is it tells me that the Cyberpunk Online thing is going to be something that they take serious enough to have some long-term monetization for it. This is why I've never been anti-microtransactions. I think there's a microtransactions that are like pay to win. Of course, I don't like those. But microtransactions in concept are just a modernized way of monetization, long-term monetization. It's like, yeah, you can have this, and then people do it different ways, subscription-based, monthly. The microtransactions. Everybody has their way, but more modern sort of games have moved towards microtransactions. I'm not anti-microtransactions, so let me get that out the way. So this is why I never grilled them. I never grilled them for making the microtransactions. I grilled them for being hypocrites. Because you had the VP or whatever sitting there saying, oh, I don't know why people put microtransactions in their games. And then they come out and announce that that's exactly what they're going to do. A lot of CD Projekt Red had mastered the art of fronting. That's all. That's all. They mastered the art of fronting and doing a lot of this. And a lot of fanboys because they bought into that. They felt like they were different when they really weren't. But some good news out of this. After playing Cyberpunk, 170 plus hours, I'm excited for Cyberpunk Online. I am. As some of y'all aren't. Some of y'all are actually anti-multiplayer. I think you're fucking weird if that's what you do, but that's fine. It's a type of gamer everywhere. I play multiplayer games a lot, and I play single player games. I'm pro single player, pro multiplayer, but especially pro multiplayer. Grew up in the arcade era playing with my bros. But I'm excited for Cyberpunk Online because of what we talked about in the last segment. That may be the aspect that we actually have those consequences, the different builds and the consequences actually meaning something when it comes to playing the game, where it actually ends up being like an MMORPG. But the decisions you make in terms of your character actually mean something. That might be the envelope. That might be the boundary that gets pushed for in the true next gen experience. That may be the game, Cyberpunk Online. If they can take aspects of what are very good and put it in an atmosphere where it's online, it has the chance to be special. It really does. It has a chance to be special. Now, again, I'm not when I say that, I'm not saying make GTA Online with a Cyberpunk skin. Because GTA of course has a lot of those aspects, but GTA Online is kind of chaotic, right? It's not as structured. It's not, you can't even call it. Yes, I guess a lot of people play it online, but you can't really call it an RP. I guess you kind of can, but it's not structured enough for me to consider that the RPG experience, right? And that's just an honest opinion. But I'd like to see what they do in that space because I believe if they can take the elements, especially they're on to something with the whole, you're basically a cybernetic freaking merc. And you can see where they can go with that and the different kind of things that you can do with your character in that world. And because it is first person, there's going to be a lot of competitive elements that they can add. This is why I appreciate them doing that. After the fact, it would be, and that's just why I can't really take GTA serious because of third person competitive, unless it's like SOCOM, you know what I'm saying? Rogue Company kind of does a good job. It's very hard to make a competitive third person shooter. But first person is where it's at there. And I like where they went with that. And if we can just get them to put that stuff in the space of the online community, I mean, in a big online massive, more so online aspect, I think that game can be very special. Yeah, Gears is another. Somebody said in the chat, Gears is another one that does the gunplay very well. That makes for a good competitor. But you get what I'm saying. It's just few of them, right? And it's hard to pull off. First person shooters, not so much. But the problem, as I mentioned before, with the base game is that it fronts on the RPG part. And the dialogue aspect is a complete gimmick. It's not really a thing, right? There's no conclusion, or no, you reach the same conclusion no matter what it is that you say. So your actions don't have meaning, but that's because, or not have much meaning. That's because it's trying to force you to this linear experience alongside Keanu Reeves. But Cyberpunk Online does not have to do that. So what if they take those elements that makes it a cool experience and puts it in an online space that's basically where it drops you in there and says, game player, do what it is that you want. Do what you want. Just do what you want. And go the route that you want. They can build. They could put in gangs. They could put in, that's what I mean by clans and stuff like that. Definitely, if they want to go have aspects where, let's say, you brain dance or something, and that's going to be part of like the competitive experience where you're going against other people. Like, there's so many things that they could do that the game does right now. It just doesn't do it to the fact that it's impactful. Right? Is more so what it is. But you can have instances where that's there on Cyberpunk Online. And it's also even cooler because you'll be able to kind of do things with your bros if that's something that you want to do. So we'll see what happens. But I love for Cyberpunk Online. I don't know what it's going to be. I don't think nobody knows. They haven't given us any news about what Cyberpunk Online is actually going to be. But I would hope that it's more of they front it like it's an RPG. I guess that's kind of the downer with it because maybe they don't go that route. Maybe Cyberpunk Online is just some bullshit. But hopefully it's like kind of like an MMO, a live response MMO. So taking the aspects of and that's what GTA Online did very well, is that it took what's already there and what you already expect as a base game, but what it did was it let the user do whatever it is that he wanted to. The thing that Cyberpunk though would need to do is make it way more structured. And by structured, I don't mean linear. That's not what I mean. I don't mean structured in terms of linear. I'm meaning like make what it is that you do more impactful. Is more so what I mean as far as just making it through this chaotic mess. It's more so what I'm saying. So. Cyberpunk Online, I'm excited for it. Not gonna lie. We'll see. I mean, who knows when that damn thing is coming out? We may look in 2-3 years down the line. I think 2022. You know what I'm saying? It's more so probably what we're looking at with that. Let's see what happens. And I think unfortunately that probably got kicked down the road again because they got to get this damn game cleaned up. But we'll see. Cyberpunk online may be the redemption tour. Let's see what happens.